Hello everyone, this is Shaista. So today we are going to study about the reproduction in plant, year 11 of biology. So in this chapter, we will study about the reproduction, how reproduction happens in plant, specifically in the plant. After that, we will study about the human or other living organism. First of all, in this chapter, we will study about the reproduction in plants. So what is reproduction? Let me tell you about the reproduction. Reproduction is the process of producing. Reproduction, it is the process. It is a process of producing. It is the process of producing or making their young ones of their own kind. This is known as reproduction. And we will categorize reproduction in two categories, or we can say that reproduction is of two types. First one is sexual reproduction, and another one is asexual reproduction. It is categorized in two categories. First one is asexual reproduction, and second one is sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. See, first of all, we will study about both the types. What is asexual reproduction and what is sexual reproduction, right? So let me tell you about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction. It is a type of reproduction in which both parents are not required, or we can say that male or female gametes are not required to reproduce their young ones. Type of reproduction in which both parents are not required, or we can say that does not involve the fusion of male and female gametes, or does not involves the fusion of male and female gametes. Male and female gametes. Male and female gametes. So what is gametes? I will also tell you what is gametes.
जी हमदान साहब, ये पाइथागोरस थ्योरम वाला प्रूफ हो गया?
Right?
ये ऐसे है.
Male and female gametes, or change in the number of chromosomes.
P 0,2. ये है Q 4,0 और ये है R 8,8. तो पहले PQ लेंथ आया कुछ
क्रोमोसोम और
PR कितना है?
नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम
कितना? सॉरी 29 मल्टीप्लाई. नहीं वो इसमें ही रखें, आप पूरा एग्जैक्ट में रखें, रूट में जो भी आया हो.
there is another definition of
ठीक है, आप करें. फिर ये लेंथ निकाल दें, सिमिलरली ये लेंथ निकाल दें, ये लेंथ, तीनों लेंथ निकाल के मुझे बताएं.
In which new offspring reproduced by a single parent. Asexual reproduction or there is another definition. If you are getting this definition, that is well and good. If you're not getting, so I'm writing another definition. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction in which new offspring is produced. New offspring is produced by a single parent. Produced by a single parent. It means it doesn't require a both parent or a male or a female gametes. It doesn't require a male or a female gametes. It only required a single parent, whether it is a male gametes or a female gametes. Generally, it is a female gametes. Okay. The new individual produced are generally physically identical. The offspring, which is reproduced by an asexual reproduction, is physically and genetically are identical. They all are same. They are same to their parents. For example, if you take an example of a rose flower, if you take an example of any kind of microorganism, right? If you take an example of microbes, example microorganism, और
ये देखो ऐसा कुछ आना चाहिए आपका, ये कुछ है, एक जगह रूट 20 आना चाहिए, एक जगह रूट 80 आना चाहिए, एक जगह रूट 100 आना चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ है.
The reproduction happens by binary fission. Binary fission is an example.
मैं करके बता देता हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Binary fission is an example of a asexual reproduction. In this reproduction, like here's an example of binary fission, like yeast, amoeba. It will it multiply themselves by binary fission by like if I draw a picture, I'll draw a picture of amoeba. Here's a picture of amoeba. It will just divide themselves and reproduce fast. So there is I'm just writing some advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction. So we will understand easily that why it is required, why it happens in some kind of organism, living organism, and why it not happen in other kind of organisms. What is the advantages of asexual reproduction and what is the disadvantages of asexual reproduction? Here I'm writing. So in the asexual reproduction, only single cell required, single cell or single parent required, not cell, single parent required. Second one is offspring are identical to their parents. Identical to their parents. Identical to their parents by genetically and physically, both. They are identical to their parents. No fertilization takes place. No fertilization takes, or gamete formation, no fertilization, or you can say gamete formation, because to form a gamete, it required a male and female sex cells. Fertilization or gametes formation takes place. Gamete formation takes place. Right? It is the simplest form of reproduction. This is the process of reproduction occurs in a very short time. This process of reproduction,
और वो पाइथागोरस थ्योरम का प्रूफ किया ना. अब इक्वेशन ऑफ सर्कल कैसे निकालेंगे? इक्वेशन ऑफ सर्कल निकालने के लिए ये बीच में सेंटर निकाल दीजिए मिड पॉइंट से, और फिर ये लेंथ रेडियस हो जाएगी.
short time. Excuse me, sir. You are audible. I mean, your mic is on.
अच्छा, वो निकाल दिया तो ये आया था क्या?
So your mic is on.
Okay. Good. चलिए ठीक है. आगे बढ़ने से पहले थोड़ा सा हम लोग इसमें से कुछ क्वेश्चन करेंगे कंडीशन का ऊपर. इस बार जो सवाल आया था ना, वो उसी के ऊपर था, के कंडीशन के ऊपर था कुछ हद तक. ये वाला 13th क्वेश्चन कीजिए.
This process of reproduction occurs in very short time by the organisms multiply and grow rapidly. The offspring or the organism multiply and grow rapidly. And these are the advantages of asexual reproduction. And now I'm going to talk about the disadvantages of reproduction. So what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages. So organism which involves in asexual reproduction are vulnerable. Are very vulnerable towards the disease. Towards the disease. Because there is no genetic mutation, so it can catch easily several kind of diseases. Fine. So this is the disadvantages of asexual reproduction. I hope you understand. So as I said previously, as I said about the chromosome. So what is chromosome? During the reproduction, I've already told you that there is a gametes gametes, a fusion of gametes, where the change of chromosome happens. So what is chromosome? Let me tell you about the chromosomes. Let me tell you about the chromosomes. Chromosomes are the long thread of DNA. Chromosome are long thread of DNA. Chromosomes are long thread of DNA. What is the full form of DNA? The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA found in the nucleus of cell. Found in the nucleus of cell. See, I hope you already know about the nucleus, because nucleus, as we can say, the center, the brain of the cell. It is present in the cell, in every kind of cell, whether it is a plant cell or an animal cell. Nucleus is present. So where DNA is formed, where DNA is present. So DNA is present inside the nucleus of the cell. So every cell has a nucleus, and there is a DNA present in it. It is made of protein. And how it is made up of? So it is made up of protein. It is made of protein. It is made of proteins. Fine. I hope it is clear to you all. And a single molecules of DNA that carry the genomic or genetic information. What is the function of DNA? Why it is so important for us? Because DNA carries the genomic or genetic information from cell to cell. DNA carries or DNA carries the genomic or genetic information. Genetic information from cell to cell. From cell to cell. From one cell to the another cell. Fine. That's why it's a fact that if you don't know that the child which is born, or you can say the orphan, so if you want to know that who is the parent of their child, so you must have seen, must have watched on the television that, okay, let's do the DNA test so that we can consider that this child is mine or some another one. You know, you must have watched in the several kind of movies that they do a DNA test. Why? Because DNA carries the genetic information from the parents, from the both parents, to the mother, from the mother and from the father also, right? So it carries the genomic or a genetic information from cell to cell, right? So humans have a 22 pair of chromosomes, number of chromosomes, and a one pair of sex chromosome, which is XX and YY. Okay. Humans, how many chromosomes are humans have? So humans have 22 pair of chromosomes and one pair of sex cells. Humans have 22 pairs of chromosome and one pair of sexes. 22 pair of numbers chromosome and one pair of sex chromosome. Sex chromosome, that is XX and XY. You know what? The interesting fact is only female carries XX chromosome and male carries XY chromosome. So whether it could be a boy or a girl, it depends on the male, not on the female. Understand? So we should remember this, that female carries XX chromosome and male carries XY chromosome. Right? So for total of 46 chromosomes. So for total, humans have a 46 number of chromosomes. Right? Each pair contains 2 chromosomes, one coming of each parent. Let me rub the board first. See, so humans have 22 pair of chromosomes and one pair of sex chromosome, that is XX and XY chromosome, for a total of 46 chromosomes, and for total, and each pair like XX and XY, each pair contain 2 chromosomes. Each pair contain 2 chromosomes. Each pair contains 2 chromosomes, one coming from each parent. 2 chromosomes, one coming from each parent. You know what? If X is coming from the, you know what? The fact is that female only can only contribute X chromosome, and it is based on the male parent that whether the X chromosome is coming from him, or the Y chromosome is coming from him. Understand? So that's why it is. That's after that it will be decided whether the child is it will be will it be a boy or will it be a girl. Right? So each parent contains one chromosome, which means children inherited half of their chromosomes from mother and half of their father, which means children inherit, which means children inherit, half of their mother chromosome, right? Mother chromosome and half of their father, right? Half of their father. I hope it is clear to you all about the chromosome. What is the facts and what is chromosome? Why it is necessary and how it's transferred. Why DNA is important. Why generally why we have watched in the in the movies that they perform the DNA test. I hope it is clear to you all. All right. See, so it's all about the asexual reproduction. I have already told you about the asexual reproduction, where it happens, what is the example of the asexual reproduction. So mostly generally plants are the example of asexual reproduction, and the microorganism, these are the example of asexual reproduction, right? So within the example of asexual reproduction, and the chromosome is one of the terms during the, if you study about the reproduction, so chromosome is the most important term. We will study further also. That's why that's why it was important to understand about the chromosome, right? So there's one example. I'm going to tell you about asexual reproduction. Within the asexual reproduction, that is stem tuber and a root tuber. Okay. Like if we talk about the example of potato or a sweet potato, these are the example of stem tuber and a root tuber, right? So first of all, just understand, let me tell you or understand about the tuber or a stem tuber. What is tuber? Stem tuber and a root tuber. Tuber has two types, two different kinds. One is a stem tuber it has two types, stem tuber and a root tuber. I will tell you examples also. So what is a tuber? Tuber is the thickened and swollen, the thickened and swollen stem or root, the thickened and swollen stem or root of a plant, that stores water and nutrients. I hope it is visible. And nutrients. Right? So a stem tuber, what is tuber? Tuber is the thickened and swollen stem or root of a plant that stores water and nutrients. And it is present underground. And it is present underground. And it is present underground. Right? For example, let me explain with an example. Example, potatoes. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrot, radish. So potato is an example of stem tuber. Stem tuber. Fine. Ginger is an example of stem tuber because in a stem tuber, it required an eye or a bud. All right. In stem tuber, it required an eye. Have you ever heard about the eyes of potatoes? So it required an eye to grow a new plant. Okay. And sweet potato is a root tuber. It means food, water, and nutrients which is stored in stem. In a potato, it is stored in stem, right? But in a sweet potato or a carrot or a radish, food or water or nutrient is stored in root. That's why it is known as root tuber. Okay? I hope it is clear to you all. So potato required, let me draw a diagram of potato. See, suppose it is a potato. So have you seen the structure like this on a potatoes? This is an eye. This is an eye present on the potato, or you can say that bud present on the potato. A new potato or a new plant will grow from here only. There are many kind of plants can grow from one potato from these eye or a bud kind of a structure. So when it grow or in a new plant, it will store further water, and other nutrients or food in the stem only, a underground stem. That's why it is known as stem tuber, right? These are the examples of stem tuber and a root tuber. I hope it is clear to you all. See, let me tell you more about that. Stem tuber can store more starch. Stem tuber can store more starch. More starch as compared to the root tuber. Starch, while root tuber can comparatively fewer starch, can store comparatively fewer starch. Fewer starch. Okay? Fewer amount of starch. Stem tuber mainly store complex carbohydrates. Stem tuber mainly store complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates, for example, complex carbohydrate like such as starch, while root tuber stores simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates such as sugar, such as glucose, or you can call it glucose. Okay, so these are the stem tuber. These are what we have studied. We have studied about the stem tuber and the root tuber. I hope it is clear to you all. Let me check some questions. There is a question in your book. About the what is the stem tuber? There's a question in your book. What is a stem tuber? Now it is clear to you all that what is a stem tuber and what is root tuber. Fine. Now, so I hope it is clear. Hope you all understand this point. Now, sexual reproduction. Now we'll study about the sexual reproduction. Which is very, very much important point. So, sexual, let me tell you the basic thing about the sexual reproduction. Have you seen animals? Like what we can say that there are a lot of examples of sexual reproduction, like human being, animals, and some kind of and basically these are the general examples of sexual reproduction, like animals and human beings. Right? Sexual reproduction involves both the parents, like male gametes and a female gametes. Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the involves both. Involves formation of sexual reproduction involves formation of the male and female gametes. Male and female gametes. Female gametes. Okay? Male and female gametes. And what is gametes? The important point is what is gametes. I'll tell you about the gametes first of all. Let me complete this. Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves formation of the male and female gametes. And you know what? Sexual reproduction is the reproduction in which a new offspring, the young one, reproduced by the fusion of male and female gametes. Fine. So either by the male and female gametes, either by the same or different individual. Different individual or section. Same individual or different individual or different sex, you can say, writing different individual. Different individuals of the opposite sex. See. So sexual reproduction involves the formation of the male and female gametes, either by the same individual or different individual of the opposite sex. Same individual or different individual of the opposite sex. Right? I hope you understand. For example, if you talk about the cats, so there will be a male cat and a female cat required. It required a female cat's egg and a male cat's sperm. It's required to fuse. It required a fusion so that a new individual will born. Fine. See. So after that, when the fusion will happen. So when the fusion will happen, so it will form the zygote. Then the same or different individual of the opposite sex with male and female gamete involves. So it will make a zygote. It will form a zygote. For example, if I talk about, like, this is an egg, and let me tell you one important thing, that egg, the size of the egg is far bigger than the sperm. Sperm is a very small cells. Its size is very small, and the size of the egg is large as compared to the sperm. You know what? The female body reproduce one egg from the both ovary in every month, actually. Fine. So here's the egg and the sperm. When it fuse together, it will make a zygote of a single nucleus. There is a nucleus of the sperm, there is a nucleus of the egg. When it fuse together, it will form a single nucleus. Both nuclei fuse together and form a single nucleus. And that's why it is called a zygote. Fine. So these gametes, female gametes and a male gametes. These gametes fuse to form these gametes. These gametes fuse to form zygotes. To form zygote. Fine. To form zygote, which develop to form and zygote, which develop to form the new individual. Okay, I hope it is clear. Fine. I hope it is clear to you all. What is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction involves formation of the male and female gametes, either by the same individual or a different individual of the opposite sex. Like one should be female and another should be male body. Okay. So these gametes, male or female, fuse to form zygote. When they fuse together, the nuclei, it will fuse together and form a single nucleus. Fine. Form a zygote which develop to form the new individual. Fine. Now, let me tell you about the zygote. Sorry, gametes. What is gametes? So gametes are the fusion of egg. Gametes are the fusion of egg and sperm. Fusion of egg and sperm. Egg and sperm. Fusion of egg and sperm. Female sex cell and male sex cell. Right? Female sex cell and the male sex cells. This is called gametes are the fusion of egg and sperm. Like as I have already drawn a picture. This is an egg, this is a sperm, there's a nucleus, then they fuse together and to form a single nucleus. So that is called it will make a gametes. Fine. Fuse together, which is called a gametes. And so fertilization. That's how fertilization occurs. Fertilization means fusion of nuclei of male and female sex cells. Fusion of nuclei of male and female sex cells or gametes. Simply, we will call it gametes. Different sex cells, you can call it Gametes. Gametes in the sense, if you are saying a gametes, so it will be by default it will be understood that you are talking about the female sexes and the male sexes. Right. So fusion of nuclei of male and female sexes or gametes. Gametes. So this process is called fertilization. This is known as fertilization. Fine. This is called fertilization. This is called fertilization. Fertilization. I hope it is clear. Till here. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction. Right? Let me tell you about. So first, advantages. Offspring are not identical. Offspring or individuals which is produced after which is produced during sexual reproduction is not identical to their parents. Offsprings are not identical to their parents. Fine. First one. And the second one is it increased genetic diversity. It increased genetic diversity. Genetic diversity. Whereas in asexual reproduction, there is genetic diversity is not possible because every individual is identical to their parents. Increased genetic diversity, fine, and it is less vulnerable to the diseases. It is less vulnerable to the diseases. Less vulnerable to the diseases. Fine. And what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages means it requires the both parents. It requires the fusion of two parents. It requires the fusion of two parents. Fine. And it is the very slower process. While in the asexual reproduction is the faster process, whereas sexual reproduction is the very complex process. It is a very slower process. It takes a lot of time. And whereas if we talk about the asexual reproduction, it's a very faster process and it's very simple process. It's not a complex process that it takes a lot of time. Like if we talk about amoeba reproduce themselves in a particular minute of times. Fine. It requires the fusion of two parents and it is a slower process, much slower process. It depends on the individual to individual. Like if you talk about elephant it takes almost, if I'm not wrong, it almost take a 22 or 20 months to reproduce their offspring or their young ones. Fine. I hope it is clear to you all. See, there is another term. Which is haploid cell and diploid cell. Haploid cell and diploid cell. See, as I said, that each parent, actually, what I said, we are having a 22 pair of chromosome, 22 of each, but there is one pair of sex chromosome also. So gametes have a 23 pair of chromosome, which contribute only half of their cell, which is known as haploid cell, So gametes have 23 pair of cells, 23 chromosome, and only contribute half of their cells, right? If there is half of their cell, they only contribute half of their cell, which is known as haploid cell. Whereas diploid cell or haploid cell is known as gametes. It means one cell of female sex cell. It contributes one female sex cell and one male sex cell, which is known as haploid. Then when female sex cell and male sex cells, excuse me. And then when these gametes fuse together, it will form a zygote. It means diploid, double cells are contribute together. So that's why it is known as diploid cell, or now it's become a 46 chromosome. 46 chromosomes. Now it becomes 46 chromosomes. Fine. So these are what we have studied today. We have studied about the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. And the next term, and the next very important term is meiosis. Let me tell you about the meiosis. What is meiosis? So it is a type of cell division. Meiosis is what? It is a type of cell division. Type of cell division. It is a type of cell division in sexually reproducing organism. In sexually reproducing organism. Sexually reproducing organism. That reduces the the number of chromosome that reduces the number of chromosomes in gametes. In human body, cells are diploid, containing 2 sets of chromosomes. In human body, cells are diploid. You know what? Why diploid? It is diploid because it contains 2 sets of chromosomes, which is either XX or XY. Fine. One from, and it is after formation, during the formation of zygote, it contributes one one cell or one chromosome from each parent. Like if female is contributing X, so it is possible that it might possible that male parent are contributing it could be contributing X cells, X chromosome or a Y chromosome. It depends. Right? So in humans, in humans body, cells are deployed. Cells are deployed containing two sets of chromosomes. Two sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. One from each parent. One from each parent. This is known as meiosis. So what is meiosis? It is a type of cell division. It is a type of cell division in sexually reproducing organism. Mind it? Only in a sexually reproducing organism, not in a asexually reproducing organism. That reduce the number of chromosomal gametes. That reduce the number of chromosomal gametes. So human being or human body, cells are deployed. Our cells are deployed because it only contribute two sets of chromosomes, which has two sets of chromosomes present in each body, in each parent, but they contribute one chromosome. They contribute one from each parent, X or Y. It depends on the body of the, like female can contribute only X chromosome because female has only X chromosome, whereas in male body, they have X and Y chromosome, so they can contribute either an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. So it depends. Fine. So what we have learned today, we have learned about the asexual reproduction as well as sexual reproduction and the different kind of terms we have already studied, like haploid and diploid cell and a meiosis, which is a very important term. So our next topic is reproduction in plant. Our next topic is reproduction in plant. Sexual reproduction in flowering plant, actually. Next topic is sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So we will study this topic in our next class. I hope you all understand this topic. So there is some question in your book which is mentioned, like what is gamete? I've already told you that what is gamete, what is zygote, why do gamete contain only half the normal number of chromosome? Why gamete contain half number of chromosome? As I've already explained you. What do you mean by diploid cell? What is the meaning of diploid cell? I've already explained. Fine. Name one part of your body where you have diploid cell. What does it mean by the haploid cell? Right? What is the one example of haploid cell? When do cells divide by meiosis? These are the questions. What is the purpose of meiosis? What is the purpose of meiosis? I've already explained that it is the purpose of meiosis happens because of meiosis is a type of cell division. So that's why it is required to divide a cell. Fine. Or it happens only in a sexually reproducing organism. Right? So these are the questions. I hope you understand these topics. In our next class, we will study about the sexual reproduction in flowering plant. And in this topic, we will study about the structure of the plant, how it the reproductive part or a vegetative propagation, how it happens or how it contributes in a vegetative propagation. We'll study in your next class. And we will also see we will also study about some examples What is pollen grains? What is ovule? What is pollination? We will study it in details actually. Actually, we have already studied in our junior classes, but we will study in this year 11 in detail. We have to study about each and every topic. So I hope you understand. Thank you so much.